2024 has been a big year for me. Some changes in my card collecting / speculating journey, but there's 3 cards here that I would like to round out 2024 with. I'm not sure if I can completely make it happen. So I'm going to talk about these 3 cards and then one bonus card at the end of the video. So make sure you stick around. Be right back. What's going on, sports card hobby family? Another day, another sports card video. Thanks very much for joining me again today. I hope that you all are doing well. Man, it's hot. It is hot out there. Hopefully everyone had a great July 4th as we round out the rest of this summer. And believe it or not, we're almost to fall and football season. Who's ready? I am. Who Dat Nation? Let's talk about it.
All night, it's our time. Get it for this city. Get it for each other. We gotta smell greatness, and we gotta finish strong. Who Dat?
Before I dive in, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com, your home for all the things baseball, basketball, football, non-sports, 35 plus million cards in the database. If you've got cards you want to drop off at COMC, they will have a huge booth at the National. So make sure to go check them out at the National Card Convention here in Cleveland, Ohio in 2 weeks. So don't forget your SlabMags, protecting the surface and your autographs from fading. 10% off on the SlabMags website with the Sports Card Dad promo code. Treat yourself. All right, today we're going to talk a lot about Michael Jordan.
Sometimes I dream that he is me. Got to see that's how I dream to be.
Michael Jordan. So I have had an epiphany. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while, but when it comes to Michael Jordan cards, really, if we're talking about over the last 3 or 4 years, prices on a lot of his more important cards have really only gone up. So it kind of feels like, are we never just going to get a deal on any of these sorts of cards? But recently, I have come up with a different strategy around that. We have seen, of course, the rise of the 90s inserts and the parallels and the numbered cards from the 90s, the Michael Jordan stuff, led by the green PMG being like $1 zillion card and all the way down. Those cards are very, very expensive. There is a lot of focus and energy around the shiny stuff, and I completely understand the coolness of those cards. In the 90s, you also just had a lot of innovation and card creation, so there's just a lot of really cool niche little sets in there that are fun to chase. So I completely understand. But what has happened, though, is a lot of money, a huge amount of money has moved into those cards for Michael Jordan and a lot of other players for that matter. So 90s inserts, 90s parallels, 90s numbered stuff, I'm not playing in that game. I'm actually going a little bit of a different direction. If you've been watching, you know that I picked up the Star 101. I also picked up the 195 Olympic card and the Rookie of the Year from that 84 star set, that very important one. One of the cards that I'm going to talk about, I'll get to it in a few minutes, is the other card from that 84 set. What I've decided is I can't play in that 90s card bucket. There's too many guys, gals, and look, they've even told me, hey, if there's a rare card that comes out of Jordan 90s, shiny card, I'll just say it that way, that pops out, I'm going to buy it. I've got 7 figures of Jordan cards that are from the 90s, those important Jordan cards from the 90s. And we've seen kind of a shift away from rookie cards and earlier cards into, 15-year refractor cards. I'm doing that on the Tom Brady side. On the Tom Brady side, I don't have any important rookie cards for him. I've actually just enjoyed buying kind of those 10, 12, 15-year numbered refractor style cards, prism cards. And that's kind of where I'm finding enjoyment for Tom Brady cards. Jordan and Brady market are different in that way, in that Jordan does have obscure sets from the 80s that a lot of people just wouldn't know about unless you're kind of digging in and really doing the research, because again, a lot of the focus is on the 90s. A lot of those collectors are 35, maybe 30, 35 years old. A lot of the attention has moved to the shiny stuff. So what I've decided to do is really kind of double down on more of those 80s sets, just the early cards. And frankly, for me, that's my nostalgia stuff. I'm 43. I'm not a 35-year-old Jordan collector that started collecting cards and was maybe buying packs in the late 90s trying to pull a PMG. like a Nat Turner or like a Chris Hoche. I actually don't know exactly how old they are, but I think they're about 5 years younger than me. I'm guessing a little bit here. But they were opening packs in the late 90s. I was opening packs in the early 90s, late 80s, kind of 1990 to 1992. I'm about 5 to 7 years difference. And so I just have a nostalgia for that cardboard from the 80s, whereas maybe they don't have that as much. I can't speak for them, but that's kind of my feel. Also, a lot of the 80s stuff was printed in mass. And so the stuff that I have picked out is really kind of more of the obscure stuff. And let's start with the first card, the Jordan Interlake 1985 card. There was a promotion that was done here for this particular card. It was done with the Chicago Bulls. Interlake was a sponsor of the Chicago Bulls a year before Jordan came to the Bulls, which allowed them to kind of, as Jordan was drafted, in 1985, they made these cards. They did a deal, kind of a partnership with the Boys Club of America, and regionally handed these cards out to kids. They're oversized 5x7, so a lot of people are not crazy about, oh, it's an oversized card, it's 5x7, it's huge. It's kind of the same issue that people have with Star Court Kings, but I'm okay with that. Again, I'm okay with kind of zagging just because the overall hobby, doesn't think that that's a cool card, or is like, oh, that doesn't really fit into the mold of what I've been told and what I should buy and this and that or whatever. I am okay going in that direction because to me, this is a historical card. And all the cards I'm going to talk about today, including the bonus one at the end, to me, these represent history. So Jordan history. When you compare to a vintage baseball card collector, if you're looking at some of the early cards, whether it's Ty Cobb or Mickey Mantle, kind of those different eras, they're not necessarily worried about which one was the first card. They're happy getting kind of, hey, this was a card from the era. This was a 50s Mantle card. This was a pre-war Ty Cobb card. It doesn't have to be the T206 Honus Wagner. It can be an early Wagner card. And for Jordan, I actually believe, I'm going to bounce around a little bit here, so hang with me, guys, hang with me. I think that Michael Jordan is the Mickey Mantle of the next generation of card collectors. I've said it in videos before. If you take all of Michael Jordan's cards, I think that there's more money in Michael Jordan than any other player in card collecting. And I think it's fairly easy to see because he's got cards that span, decades going through 80s, 90s, 2000s. Whereas a Mickey Mantle does not necessarily. The Air Jordan brand will live on. Air Jordan is synonymous with this brand of excellence that started a long time ago and has continued on. Globally, he's very well known and will continue to be well known long after he's gone.
Got to see, that's how I dream to be.
And so again, not interested necessarily in rookie cards. I don't care if the 1985 Interlake is considered to be a rookie card in the hobby. Don't care. Just want early Michael Jordan cards. And I think over time, those are going to do well from a pricing standpoint. Because again, as we move forward and more people and kind of the younger generation growing up appreciates Jordan and what he did on the court, what he's done off the court, I think that it's just going to continue to grow that legend. Additionally, because this Interlake card was a regional release, there's not lots of them. Are they extremely limited? No, they're not extremely limited. You can go on eBay, you can find them anytime. But if you compare it to just any release from the 80s, any major release, a national release, if it's Fleer or whatever it is, there's far less of these than there are Fleer cards. Doesn't matter if you're talking about 86, 87, 88, 89, whatever. And so I like the fact that there's kind of an early Jordan cards with some added scarcity in there. And these cards that I'm going to name off, they're not necessarily cheap. It's not like you can find these in the dollar bin, but I still think that there is value there that's just kind of slept on because it's not, a Fleer card or it's not a Topps card, because the hobby in general is a hive mind that just kind of thinks one way, and I'm not that way. So I like the Jordan Interlake card here from 1985. And plus the image is just awesome. He's about to make a move. He's got his tongue out. It's a great image. All right, let's go to the second card. It's one that I've talked about here on the channel. It's the 84 Court Kings. It's the 5x7 star card. And the picture on this thing is amazing. Again, he's going up for a dunk. Star's got amazing images. They're not all perfect. I know some people are like, the 101, he's grabbing a rebound. What the heck were they thinking? I get it. But this one is killer. This is an amazing image. Again, it's that oversized 5x7. A lot of people don't want to deal with storing that, or it's too big, and that's fine. I totally get it. I just wanted to complete the set of that 84 star with the 101, the 195, the 288, and then the Court Kings here. And so that's one that I want to add before the end of the year, if possible. Really looking for that one in a 6 or 7 grade. With the Interlake, let's go back a little bit. Again, I've got kind of a price point in mind. I'm not necessarily looking for a 9 Interlake card. I'm just looking for what, from an eye appeal standpoint, a great looking copy. Maybe it's a mid-grade copy, just to own it and enjoy that card. All right, let's move on to the next one. 1985 Nike promo card. Again, not an ultra rare card. It's not. You can find these out there. They're fairly plentiful, but again, if you're comparing it to nationwide releases, Fleer releases, they're fairly scarce in comparison. It's all relative. So I would like this one in a 9. And in a 9, it's about a $2,000 card. It's, again, an oversized card. What I like about it is the history of this thing, as it was used. It was early promotion for the Air Jordan sneaker, which the Air Jordan sneaker has become a whole brand in itself. It's probably, I'm speculating a little bit here, I don't have the data to support it, it's probably the best-selling shoe of all time. If we're talking about an individual branded shoe, it's probably it, the Air Jordan sneaker. Globally, over time, they have sold a zillion of these things. And again, when you look at the youth today, they know what Air Jordans are. They know exactly what you're talking about. I also think it's funny too. One thing that's popped up on my YouTube feed here recently, it's LeBron fans react to the Michael Jordan highlight reel. There was some highlight reel that was put together, and it's a great highlight reel of him, but it's all these different people. And once I think I watch 1 or 2 of these, then of course I get like everybody's reaction to this thing. But it's shocking to me. It'll show like a 18-year-old kid that's basically like, oh, wow, like hasn't seen these highlights before. There's one highlight where he's dribbling between his legs and then he kind of fades away on Larry Bird. It's a pretty common highlight if you've seen it. It's the playoff series against the Celtics, where the Celtics did beat the Bulls, very good Celtics team, but Jordan scored like 70 points or something. It was kind of like his coming out party of like, hey, I'm next in line here. And the kid said on the highlight reel reaction, oh, I've never actually seen Larry Bird play. So just wrap your head around that. There's a lot of today's generation, they've heard of Larry Bird, they know who he is, but they've never actually watched any sort of highlight to know how good that they actually were. So I think that's kind of interesting. I think that more and more people, like for me and my age group, it's like, yeah, Michael Jordan, of course. Like everyone knows him, everyone's seen the highlights. But no, not everybody has. The youngsters coming up, they haven't. And as they learn more about this, and as you look at today's NBA, and then you kind of see that there's nobody really taking that mantle from him. I understand that there's LeBron James kind of, folks that feel that he's the GOAT, and you're okay to feel that way. But again, a lot of these folks have never seen Jordan play or even the highlights, but they're all about LeBron. It's interesting. Again, it's fine to debate it. But if you kind of lived in that era watching Jordan and just the rise, overcoming the Pistons, and he didn't bounce around. He didn't jump on the next super team. Yes, they picked up good players, but Scottie Pippen was drafted by the Bulls. He wasn't added in later on. Dennis Rodman was a great piece that they added on to repeat for the second time. But for the most part, you just had Jordan, Scottie, and some great role players, and they won titles, and they beat really, really good teams. It wasn't the super team era. But anyway, I could probably talk about this for an hour. So I like that Nike promo card. Again, I'm thinking about the history here. I'm thinking about early Jordan cards and how they're going to be viewed over time. I'm kind of more or less collecting the history. I'm not necessarily worried about, oh, is this ever going to be considered a rookie card? I don't care. I don't think that it needs that to hold value, grow value over time. Plus, they're just damn cool cards. Last but certainly not least, the 1985 Prism Jewel sticker Jordan. I just like the fact that this thing came out of a vending machine going back to 1985. And again, I consider the 80s, 90s nostalgia stuff. I think of that pop culture as the greatest time in history for pop culture and all of the IP, the athletes, and everything that came out of that era. They're still making movies on it today. They're still trying to replicate it, and it's just not replicatable. These characters live on forever, and this IP that was created, it continues on. And so I just like the history and kind of the mystique around a Prism Jewel sticker Jordan card. And again, people say like, oh man, the visual on this, it doesn't even look like his face. But missing the fact that this is just a very, very early sticker card of the GOAT. And I don't know, there's just something about it that I think is incredible. And again, this isn't taken away from other cards that I want. I want to get into high grade 86 Fleer Jordan. I also would like 87 Fleer, 88 Fleer, and kind of some of those little subsets. But those are less of a priority for me just because of the abundance. Those can be picked up really at any point, just like these, but there is more of a limited supply. I like the stories behind these cards. All right, my friends, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you have a few cards for the rest of 2024 that you're kind of like, these are the targets? These are the ones that I would really like to get to round out the year. Let me know in the comments below. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.